With their descent downwards, these new adventurers well up inside with courage, wit, and curiosity. And on their path, they will find both hope and despair alike, lying in wait.
The narrator says both hope and despair are alike, lying on the way ahead. To me, Made in Abyss is a postmodernistic interpretation of the world. It tries to present all aspects of life and show their values. The uncensored version of life, which is cute and brutal, beautiful and ugly, good and evil. Accepting all aspects and not rejecting any creates a holistic experience of life. Akihito once said the story is not written for everyone. Many reject Made in Abyss because the Abyss confronts them with their shadows and their dark side, and it's something most people escape. Carl Jung says, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. So, are you ready to face your dark side, the side you've always tried to avoid? Welcome to the Arc of Fear. Before we get into the anime, let's talk a little about the manga. This episode begins at the first chapter of the second volume. On its cover art, we see Reg and Riko being amazed by the Abyss and its creatures. If you look carefully, you'll notice that Riko's eyes are red, which is incorrect. Riko's eyes are green. This was a mistake Akihito made while coloring the cover art. He is actually colorblind and cannot easily distinguish between green and red. Before the chapter officially begins, there is another panel worth seeing. It's a classification of the main characters we've been introduced to or will be soon. Okay, let's get into the anime. Fourth episode of Season 1, Edge of the Abyss. In the first scene, we see how careful Reg is. He has made a web with his hands so he can sense if anything approaches them while sleeping. And as you can see, he's scared of the dangers of the Abyss. As we've talked about before, Reg is the embodiment of fear. Reg is amazed by the fact that the first layer is much brighter than the surface. I guess it's because of the lensing effect created by the boundary. The Abyss, like a pupil, allows light to enter and scatters it into its depths. Because of the distortion in the force field, it's not possible to see the boundary. Riko shows the star compass to Reg here. It apparently always points to the bottom of the Abyss. We don't know when or where Riko first got her hands on it, but based on the information Caravagli gave us, in the side story of Volume 13, relics, especially this one, come across when you're meant to find them. When Caravagli first sees it, he says, "Here it is, up close." And when Shiki asks what it is and how it works, he says it's a peephole, but he doesn't know how to use it. I guess by peephole, he means its shape resembles the essential part of the Abyss. I say this because in the first episode of Season 2, when Ganja first came to Abyss and met the tribe living there, the old guy that seems to be the head of the tribe tells Vuko that the star compass is form of the essential part. It might work like a crystal ball that shows locations in time and space, but the star compass only shows the current state of the essential part. There is much more information about it in the extras of Volume 13. The shape of the one that Vuko used to have is slightly different from the one that Riko has, which is interesting. And both Riko and Vuko lost the relic at the beginning of their journeys. Both Wazukion and Riko call this relic a star compass, which is unusual, just like Reg's name. Akihito took the name Star Compass from a Magic the Gathering card of the same name. The interesting thing is that on the card says it doesn't point north, but home. This likely relates to the concept of homesickness and longing for home, which we'll discuss when we get to the second season. Riko says one of the Raiders' teachings is, all that is taken from the Abyss will someday be returned to it, whether it's an object or a life. This is interesting because soon we learn that Riko's life was given back by the Abyss. This idea applies to us as well. The life that was given to us by the universe will someday be returned to it as well. After this conversation, Reg shows Riko the leader's letter, and the face Riko makes in the manga is really strange. One could say it's even more frightening than a normal scared expression. Silkfangs are interesting too. Apparently they have a dome-shaped territory that they will not leave. More information about them can be found in the extras of the second volume. I might be mistaken, but the path they are walking on looks like the remains of an incinerator shot here. These wind-riding windmills are fascinating. They are at least from 2 cycles ago, which is the same cycle when the Ganja squad came to the Abyss. These windmills were probably used to generate energy back then by catching updrafts. The entrance to the inverted forest is really unsettling. I don't know why, but it looks like a butthole to me. A scary butthole. Reg gets a flashback here and remembers himself in an anxious state asking, where? There is another flash later on while firing the incinerator shot. These are 2 small pieces of information to fully understand. We need more context, but it seems something important happened to Reg while ascending. Or maybe another soul is communicating with him from within his body and using his own voice. We need to talk about what Reg actually is. First of all, he's not a robot, but a bundle of special grade relics. Apparently, he is one of the residents of the true Golden City, deep in the Abyss. I don't want to explain what Golden City and being a resident symbolize. We'll talk about it when we reach Season 2. We know Reg shares the same creator as the interference units. In Volume 14, Gyotzi refers to Reg as it and not him, which means the Priestess clan doesn't consider them human. He also calls him Little Interference Unit Boy, but I think he's the one that can move between layers, unlike the ones we see in Season 2. Before reaching the surface, we see in Season 2 that Reg's cape was different, and he even had a cool hood. We also see that he has a mark on his cape, which is probably the symbol of their clan. I think this symbol resembles the shape of the essential part, which would be the same as the star compass, but it seems its bottom part is a bit different. The only other time we see this symbol is on the cover art of Volume 14, hidden in the background art between Reg and the girl type, which likely means they were both in the same group. We know from Lyza's letter that she first encountered the girl type, and then later met Reg, or maybe even helped create him. We know she was close with Reg from a flashback in the last episode of Season 1. She tells him it's not the time to be sad, and he should eat and then head out with Lyza. Interestingly, he doesn't even know why he was sad and doesn't remember. There is a scene where Ozen and Leader talk about Reg, saying that his movements and fighting style are very similar to Lyza's. This likely means that Reg spent a lot of time with her and learned many things from her. Or maybe since Reg probably carries Lyza's soul, he inherited some of her traits. He also got the catchphrase, irredeemable, from Lyza. On the way back, Reg is alone and has Lyza's blaze rip with him, and he's the one who digs a grave for Lyza and puts the letter in it, along with blaze rip. This shows that the letter wasn't meant for Riko, since Reg could have simply given it to her himself. He tells Faputa that he's ascending to find his Haku and bring her back so he can use the Light of Essence more, and he doesn't know what happens if he uses it again. By Light of Essence, I mean the incinerator. We'll talk about it deeply in the next episode. Reg seems designed to handle himself in the abyss and survive its dangers, even the curse. Wazukian on his deathbed talks about what is required to surpass humanity, listing all the necessities. But in the end, he says none of these things alone is enough. It's the accumulation of them that makes one beyond human. That's why I believe Reg is an accumulation of many things bundled together, especially souls. My theory is that in order to create something like Reg, many souls need to be accumulated. And the only time we know this happens is at the end of each cycle, when the Abyss takes back all the souls. I believe Reg carries many souls and is not considered alive by the Abyss. That's probably why the curse doesn't affect him. There is a strong possibility about who Reg originally was before becoming what he is. The idea that Reg is actually Riko's dog. There is a side story in Volume 6 that directly shows the parallels between Riko's dog and Reg in their roles as protectors. Reg also has canine paws pads, and his sense of smell is really strong. Even Nanachi calls him good doggy at some point, which is kind of funny. This idea fits the faith of the Abyss, which says the soul of the deceased descend to the bottom of the Abyss and begin a new journey as part of the path of future adventurers. Reg's visual design is mysterious too. His cape is tattered for some reason, and there are scratch marks on his helmet, similar to what the girl-type claws would make. Also, the right horn of his helmet has a hole that might have been made by a focused incinerator shot. He has 3 instances of a particular symbol in his design, 2 at the end of his ropes and 1 on his buckle, which I believe is the symbol of the reincarnation of the Abyss. We'll talk about this symbol later. He can shoot the Light of Essence from all of his limbs. I can't imagine how powerful he would be if he used them all to their fullest extent. He also transforms into Liberation State and Dark State, which we'll talk about when we reach those points in the story. Here we see Reg can sense movements and changes in the environment from his helmet's indicator. Reg has very strong senses. Even his eyes can zoom to get a better view. The way Habu checks Reg's balls is really funny, and of course irredeemable. Habu gets serious here and warns Riko and Reg to be wary of Ozen. But Riko, as always, is too reckless and optimistic about meeting Ozen, especially since Ozen was the one that helped Lyza bring Riko to the surface. But sooner or later, Riko has to face her dark shadow to descend deeper. After saying goodbye, Habu thinks of an interesting idea, that in the end, we are all Netherworld's lost children. And sooner or later, he knew this day would come for Riko to leave her comfort zone and venture into the chaos to find her true self. And here we are, depths of the second layer, Forest of Temptation. Descending into this layer as a red whistle is considered suicide, and no help would be sent to them. Now they are officially outside the comfort zone and have stepped into the unpredictable and dangerous realm of the unknown. The colorful bird we see here is the same one shown in Maraluk's Daily Life OVA, the one eating the corpse of his father. They are called Urikouri, and they live in the second layer. It's shown that they use their arms to walk on their knuckles, similar to primates. The ending theme song of Season 1 talks about the idea of accumulation as well. Together we can accumulate our value and descend deeper. Each of us has abilities that can help others, and all of us lack many things when we are alone. Riko is reckless and weak, but knows a lot about the Abyss. Reg is incredibly strong and sturdy, but gets overwhelmed and scared easily. Together, they can integrate their abilities to survive in deeper layers and cover each other's flaws. This is actually what Ozen lacks, and probably why she decided to remain in the second layer. Soon we'll discuss the immovable sovereign character deeply and analyze it. This was the overanalyzing of the 4th episode. Please share your theories and ideas in the comments. Other perspectives on this story are quite valuable to me. See you in the next one.